Yo, what is going on, guys? Savage here. Today we're going to be diving into another episode of how to get better at Blackout. I took a week off due to being extremely sick. I'm still getting over it, but we're not going to talk about that right now. Right now we're going to dive into a recent match we had. So let's go through it and see what I did right, what I did wrong, and what I could have done to improve my gameplay in hopes that maybe you guys can learn something from it as well as myself. So I love Hot Pursuit. I'm a very big fan of Hot Pursuit. This right here, this location is usually where I go to Hot Pursuit. It's usually where I land. They usually have one or two vehicles. I believe in the normal game mode, it's kind of half and half if you get one or not. So we land here normally. I usually rotate the same pass. I'm a creature of habit. I love, looting the same spots that I know are going to have enough loot for a squad, especially since I always play squads. I want to land at a place that's going to have enough loot for a full team. I want to land at a place where people won't just sit up and camp. One reason why I avoid Rivertown, I love Rivertown, but I hate running a four-man squad. We're running around Rivertown, we're trying to find everybody, and then one or two of us get picked. And it's just not a good way to start the game. It's a lot of fun over there, but I'd rather start a little bit safer. If you're getting new to Blackout, I definitely recommend that you play safe as well. Definitely go for fights, don't run from fights, but if you can avoid pushing a compound that you have no idea where they're at, I would definitely recommend avoiding it. So ever since this big update on this last operation, loot has been very underwhelming. Right here we have one guy. I don't know where he came from. I'm guessing he landed at the blue tarps to the west. That's kind of, I believe it's a little bit north of Array. It looks like he landed there, ran from a fight, came up to me with no weapons. That's kind of self-explanatory. There's really no how to get better during that one-on-one right there. He just didn't have a weapon and boom. This is Hot Pursuit, guys. I know Hot Pursuit's not in the game as of right now. Depending on when you're watching the video, I know right now it's not in the game. I believe it's 50 versus 50 right now. However, even though it's a different game mode, your rules of positioning, the rules of engaging are basically the same. Granted, you're not going to have a sensor dart attached to your car, but how you jump out and fight a team, what to do, what not to do, it's pretty basic in similarity. Right here, I see a target in the street. I see the vehicle as well. He's going to loot. He has no idea we're even coming. And here I'm jumping out of them. This is a tactic I like really well. I don't see a lot of people utilizing it. I feel like I'm the only person that does it, to be honest. And correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure there's a lot of players out there that do it as well. But when I'm driving a vehicle as the driver, I love to jump out when the vehicle's mid-rolling, especially if my team's still in there. Now, if I know that the enemy doesn't have a mesh mine, I'm gonna pull up as close to the enemy as I can, and I'm gonna jump out right before we pass them up. That way, when the enemy is looking at the vehicle, he keeps his eyes locked on the vehicle with my three teammates in it. Yet I had already jumped out and he's got no idea. And then you see that right there, I came up behind him with a cordite and just absolutely annihilate him. He had no idea what happened. It's a very good tactic. If you want to jump out on people, guys, don't worry about taking a little bit of damage, at least as far as my experience. Sacrifice a little bit of damage to get the kill. People usually don't expect it. They love seeing cars and they just lock right onto it. Another thing I recommend, guys, if you've got decent loot, you don't need to have all the loot in the world. You don't need to have level 2, level 3 vests. You don't need to have all the sensor darts, mesh mines. You don't have to have the best guns ever. If you have one gun that you're actually really decent with, don't have to be really good with it, just decent, and you and your team are looted up decently, just move on. And as you see here, we literally come into compounds, we look for people, we look for stashes, look for whatever we need, and we dip. We don't overstay our welcome. We're in and out. The reasoning behind that is if you happen to fight a team and it's 4v4, 4v3, whatever the team fight is, when you win the fight, you kind of want to dip before you end up getting pinched, because people are really starting to third party. This is slowly kind of transitioning to Apex gameplay. People are just going to sit on the edge of the map and wait to hear gunfight, and then they're going to come in and try to third party and pick you off while you're medding, while you're looting, and so on and so forth. So loot as quick as you can and get out of there, and that's what we're doing right here. I don't know how many kills I ended up getting this game. I don't know how we did as a team. I'm sure we either won or it was a hell of a game to where when we lost, I still had a good amount of kills. But for some reason, I bookmarked this and wanted to show you guys this gameplay. So right here, I'm utilizing the engineer on the cop car again. It's not normal mode, but if you do have engineer, you can use that as well. We're gonna chase everything we see, unless I have a feeling that if they go to a turbine area, or if they go firing range, if they go somewhere like that's open within the fields, I'm gonna bail out. That's exactly what I did right here. When you see a car and you're chasing them, and they go towards the barns or the open fields, just bail out, because you're literally so vulnerable out there. If your vehicle gets exploded, if you get trapped and you're out in the open, you have no cover, it's a very bad place to be. So I'd recommend never taking a vehicle in a chase to that area around firing range, and red barns and things like that. Stay away from that if you're just going to stay in a vehicle. So right here, it was 4 of us. There's only one guy. He's a fresh spawn. He only has a pistol. There's really no explanatory on that one. I'm using the Peacekeeper, which I believe, again, is not in the game right now, to my knowledge, except for Alcatraz. But if you're like me and you don't play Alcatraz, it doesn't really matter. But Peacekeeper is a really, really savage weapon, and I'm really excited for the fact of them bringing, or the thought of them bringing in the Vendetta, the Peacekeeper, the Locust into normal gameplay. Granted, they do need to nerf it for sure, but it's going to be a lot of fun to use regardless. Now, like I said, I usually go on the same path. So first, we landed at our spot, we rotated north up to Browns, we hit the gas station, we came back, and now we're passing through the Brown compound and going up to right here to the 5s with a 3-story. And usually there's a team here. You can almost bet on it. If you're driving, you're running, you want to stay by buildings. Don't just run in the open. You see me kind of hugging the gazebo, hugging the building, hugging the trees, hugging the rocks, not sticking to the street. It's something you really want to avoid. Most people, you usually put a random mesh mine on the street, so you kind of run a risk of running into that. Also, again, if your vehicle gets destroyed and you or your teammates happen to survive it, you're now out in the open with no rocks, no trees, no buildings for cover. Always navigate using cover, whether you're in a vehicle or not. Now, sometimes you just can't help and it is what it is, or if you've already been past there, like if you've already been to a certain spot and you know no one's there, then of course, kind of use your discretion. Right here, we have 4 targets separated. Now, this right here is not a good idea for us to do. I kind of jump out, 1v1 this guy, but their positioning, the way they were, formed a perfect square. I mean, we were dead center. We've really kind of, in theory, triangulated ourselves and put ourselves in a bad position. This was a bad call on my part, and because of my bad decision making, I sacrificed my teammate Shank, and it was honestly not a win for us because we could have positioned this so much more differently, so much better. But I got greedy, wanted that 1v1, and went with my move. Now this guy right here, I'm challenging him with the Peacekeeper. I don't know what my secondary is. I would imagine a Vendetta. I really, really enjoy the Vendetta. If I did happen to have a Vendetta or something like that, the reason for me not using it on that guy head glitching, I have no idea. If there's a guy head glitching, you have an AR and you're really good with it, awesome. But if you happen to have a DMR or a sniper that you're actually good with as well, switch to your long range where you have a little scope on it and annihilate them. You don't want to really contest a head glitcher with an ELO for the most part, for an average player. Now, granted, there are a lot of streamers, a lot of pro gamers, and sometimes myself as well, that can absolutely annihilate with an ELO no matter what distance. But again, if you're just starting off, you definitely want to play it safe, get better. And I do have a Vendetta with a sniper scope. Bad call on my part. Thankfully, I was hugging the red building, so when he downed me, I instantly crawled to the building and got safe. One thing you see people do a lot is they'll contest out in the open. They'll leave hard cover and they'll start contesting the guy, and all of a sudden now you're down and you have no cover to crawl back to, and you're gonna get executed, of course. Now right here, we're engaging a team to the northwest. It's, I believe, a 3v2 if I'm not mistaken. This guy right here just had no idea what was happening. Easel went with the far left flank, and I was already on the right side, and Krusty was mid. So I mean, no matter what side of the tree he hugged, he was done for. Now what he did wrong there was he didn't fight. He just stood there waiting for the rapture. I don't know what he's waiting for. Me and him saw each other 1v1. I stared at him for a good 3 seconds before I actually fired. I don't know why. My reaction time's a little slow on that. And he could have at least put a couple bullets in me. He didn't even try to fight it out. He kind of just gave up from the get-go. Like I always say, guys, loot as fast as you can, be efficient. My teammates sometimes loot a little slower than I'd like, so usually you'll just see me running in circles around them, keeping an eye on the perimeter, and kind of just trying to make sure they don't get picked off. And if they do, I'll know what to do. I'll have the area scanned, I'll know where to go, know where my cover is. Right here, as I'm scanning the area, I'm not keeping myself to close cover. I'm not going from tree to tree. I'm running in the open. I know I said don't do this, however, because of the ridges, it's a little bit better off. If you have a ridge, that's also considered cover. You're perfectly fine with going out the open if it's a very hilly area. All right, right here we hear shots to the 210. We know there's people at this compound somewhere. I switched to my Vendetta. I have a 2x of inventory. If you spotted that real quick, and we'll get to that in a second. One guy on the roof, the Vendetta with the sniper scope, is just no contest. I put out the sensor dart. There's his teammate spread out. I'm not really a fan of spreading out at all. And again, we'll get into that in a second once this team is fought. This guy right here, he came off the roof after I just downed him. He comes off and literally sprints right towards the teammate we just downed. Bad call on his part for many, many reasons. Just don't do that. There's no what to do better. Just don't do that. Don't leave your cover to challenge a 1v3 after your teammate's already been executed. Play it safe, play it slow, get the picks, get the win. And like I said, we're going to get into the why I carry 2 scopes. Not many people do it. A couple of viewers of mine have actually noticed it, and they either copied me into the same thing, or they've already done it and they can relate to the situation. We'll get into that in a second, but I definitely recommend always carrying, if you're using a DMR, always carrying a 2X and a long range, either a 4 or a sniper scope. All right, right here on this hill that I'm running down, I always feel safe on this hill, especially after we've just cleared out those 5 buildings where we killed that team of 3. I always feel great. I'm running engineer. I usually don't run engineer or random perks, but you know, this late in the game, if I happen to find stuff and I have inventory space, I'm going to utilize it. And engineer is a lot more clutch than people give it credit for, and I'm guilty of that as well. But we'll get into all that after the video. We'll have a little bit of a sit down and going over certain things. Now, I know there's a barrier over there at the compound to my east because of the guardian, because of the engineer. So I know there's a player somewhere, and there he is sneaking up on me from the north. Thank God my teammates absolutely annihilated him. I only did 10 damage, so they really saved my ass on that one. But luckily, because I was going from tree to tree, sticking a hard cover, I was able to hide behind the tree and not get picked. All right, so while we're looting, back to not spreading out. Those guys were super spread out. They had 2 guys in the 3-story, and they had 1 guy in the yellow house that literally was just doing nothing. There's no reason to loot this late in the game unless you're really, really desperate. But if you do loot, bring your teammates with you, because once I picked that guy on the roof, it was a 3v2, and then those other 2 guys were completely separated, and we just picked them off one by one. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. Try to stay together. You don't have to be up each other's butts. I never recommend to do that, but try to stay together where you have line of sight around your player, around your teammates. So right here, I spot a guy 190 on the roof. You can almost guarantee if the circle's in this position that there's gonna be somebody at the brick buildings always, whether it's on the east side of the bridge or the west side. There's always gonna be players there. So just kind of, you learn from habit where players like to go. People love multiple story buildings. It's just a thing players love to do. They feel more safe in, you know, being able to rotate through a 3-story building than actually sitting in a 1-story building or camp behind trees or whatever it is. Here's a vehicle. This is a pet peeve of mine, and if you watch the streams, you know it. Don't drive vehicles late game unless you're trying to push players, jump out on them, and fight them. The vehicle, I believe, yep, already got picked by the Vendetta. We'll go over that as well. I downed the guy behind the rock with the Vendetta and easily executed him. Right now, we know there's 2 dead. We have no idea where the 3rd teammate is. We're looking around, we're scanning. Again, players have been spreading out a lot lately. It kind of creates more of a nervous environment for me, at least. There he is, laying perfectly prone in the grass. Isn't a horrible idea. The Vendetta is very, very nasty, and if you can like lay prone with it, it's just, there's no recoil. It's a god gun. But you're laying prone on the downslope on the bottom of the hill on a 1v3 situation. Definitely not the play. We spot a team to the 210 hiding behind the rocks. I believe they're actually fighting the team at, there I am, I actually got it down. Yeah, they're fighting the team at docks right now. Still, I'm keeping my eye on the southeast building because, like I said, you already know damn well 9 times out of 10 there's gonna be a team leaving that compound. But the guys at the rock that I killed, I think was that team. There's the last guy right here. I don't hit my shots. I don't think I ever hit them. Exactly, I don't. I just, for some reason, potatoing my ass off. I'm not a huge fan of this dark update. It's very hard to see objects. Like that guy when he ran in front of the rock, I lost him completely because he just blended in with it. Right here, there's a Guardian, 165 inside the building. I don't understand the point of this. Why would you place a Guardian at one door when there's so many windows and other things to go around? And we'll go over Guardian placement in another video. But there he is, vaulting over the Guardian. I just absolutely annihilated him with the Vendetta. He doesn't stand a damn chance. Keep my eye on the right side, making sure he doesn't go out the door, but the blue chunks so hard and hot pursuit that he just dies of the blue. And there it is. The game is won and 2 of my teammates are down. All right, like I said, guys, carrying 2 scopes. Like, I love using the Vendetta. I love the ABR. I love the SDM. Even the Augur's kind of a liking. I have a liking to that gun. I always love carrying a sniper scope for medium and long range. However, if you get in a situation to where, However, if you get into a situation where there's multiple targets and you want to ADS from one to the other real quick, sniper scope is not the key. If you're really good at quick scoping and you kind of pay attention to that center marker on your monitor, if you have like a little dot on your monitor or whatever, and you can kind of transition fast, then by all means use a sniper scope. But for me personally, I'm not really good at lining up the center of my monitor with a player and then ADSing directly on them. That's just not how I play. It's a fault of mine, and I need to get better with that. So I like to whip out the 2x and ADS quickly as possible. And like I said, that's usually for DMRs. Snipers, not so much, with the exception of the Outlaw. I love the 2x on the Outlaw, the 4x on the Outlaw, and the sniper scope on the Outlaw. So usually that's the only sniper I'll actually do it with as well. But guys, I really hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, apologies for it being almost 2 weeks without a how-to video. Got extremely ill. We went out of town. I was still sick. I'm still sick. I mean, I'm going on day 9 right now. I'm trying to shake back and get everything going, and just trying to help everybody out there become a better player and play more aggressive, because I like to win, I do, but you know, at the end of the day, I want to have good fights. If I lose a game and I have, you know, 10 kills, 12 kills, even if I'm a little upset, at the end of the day, it was still a fun game. I don't like the games where we play the entire thing and I win with 6 kills, 5 kills, 4 kills, not because I just can't kill people, but because we can't find anybody. I want players to improve. I want the battle royale genre to improve, and you know, have more aggressive players, more people wanting to get out there and fight. That's what I want, and that's why I kind of started this series. But yeah, if you guys like the video, make sure you hit the subscribe button on the channel. Don't forget to drop a like on the video. Comment in the section below and let me know what you want to see in a future video. And if you like to watch live streams, we stream live here on YouTube every night at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, and on Twitch every morning at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday. So drop a follow on Twitch, sub on YouTube, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace, brothers.